always in the Vedanta context, to call it, you don't have to become, you already are. Because the only obstacle is that. All the other obstacles don't exist. For us, this is like a huge wall, but if we can discuss that and exchange on that, maybe it will help.
On these lines, Swami is trying with this workshop on Master the Mind to break down that wall, no? He's pushing everyone more and more and more towards silence. In other words, in the discourse that I was listening to today, he was saying, push the mind towards Brahman, push the mind towards Atma, and away from the world. Does anybody want to share if they are following these discourses, if they have been able to experience a bit of peace, a bit of quietude? I don't know what the situation is where you are. Are you still on lockdown? Is life back on its feet again the way it was before? Do you still have free time the way you did 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago? Or is it different? I don't know. The floor is open to anybody who wants to share. Our Monday is this heavy?
Yes, but also.
Sorry, sorry. Can you repeat what you said, because it was very choppy what you just said. Something about lockdown?
Yeah, what I was saying was, Mother wanted to start with the topic. Did you hear the title she wanted to start with?
No, sorry.
Yeah. She wants to start off with be what you are. What was that?
No,
Mother,
it's expressed this way. You don't have to become, you already are. So we don't have to become Brahma, we already are. We don't have to become wise, we already are, and so on. To launch the session.
So on those lines, I was saying that Swami, with this workshop on Master the Mind, is trying to pull down that wall, no, for us. Actually, no, he's trying to convince us to pull down the wall because he can't pull it down for us. And so I was asking if anybody wanted to share anything on these lines with regard to Swami's workshop. If anybody has experienced some peace in these days or not, maybe we can. In that sense, the floor is open to everybody. I was saying, so please feel free to share with the rest of the group. Did you hear me this time, Shilpa?
Sorry, yes, I did. We haven't actually heard most of Swami's talks because we've been really busy with the Rudram.
Okay.
But with regards to just being, because we are Brahma, I think the more we go within, as Swami says, the more we chant Aham Brahmasmi and just, try and be silent within ourselves, I think the more that will come out. And I think it all boils down to our sadhana, our discipline, and how much we see and hear through our senses. Yeah, I think.
Swami has been trying desperately to describe to us what it's all about. He has been trying desperately to express what Vedanta can give us. And he says, it's because you can't see it from your end that I find it so difficult to explain it to you. He didn't use these words. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. He says difficult. He said that I could speak about it ad infinitum. I could speak about it forever. That's how beautiful it is, he said. And he has started off by talking about, I mean, one of the sadhanas he has kicked off in the third week is the chanting of Aham Brahman Sarvam Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, which are different ways of saying the same thing, that is, I am Brahman, I am the Absolute, the world is the Absolute. And Swami said, why these two phrases? I could just give you Aham Brahman. But why Aham Brahman followed by Sarvam Brahman? Two reasons. One is, if you keep chanting only Aham Brahman, Aham Brahman, Aham Brahman, the moment someone disagrees with you, that's it. The ego will retaliate, will react. Because we have made it grow with that idea of I am God. But if you remind yourself and accompany that phrase with the world and everybody on the outside is also God, then you could combat that spiritual ego from raising its hood. That was one of the reasons. The second reason Swami said was, if you chant only Aham Brahman, there is a possibility that you will find that peace only when you are alone with yourself. And the moment you start interacting with the world and you're not doing your sadhana, and you have an exchange with someone, that peace will be lost. So adding the second phrase, this would mean that you are opening the door to your experience of God's presence all the time. That's basically what Swami has been saying. We are opening to the door, the door to the experience of God being with us all the time. We're not opening the door to God to enter. God is already here. But we have constructed a false door which keeps him out. In that sense, we are very, very powerful creators. The mind is a powerful creator. The way Swami talks about the waking state, the dream state, the deep sleep state. This is another very interesting thing he talks about. He has always spoken about this, but again, this time in the workshop, he repeated. He says the scriptures say that the mind is a very potent instrument in the dream state. Because there it's not bound by time or space. And so its creativity or its creative potential is completely free, completely untamed, so to speak. And so it has the capacity of creating worlds from nothing. To the extent of making you experience or see something or hear something that you didn't experience in this lifetime. Why? Because it contains all the past memories. That powerful the mind is. It can go beyond birth and death, still retain very old, antique, ancient memories. Swami called it baggage. He said, this is what, you carry your baggage from one life to the other. But in the deep sleep state, what happens is that the mind remains stupefied. It remains stunned because it sees Brahman. And when that happens, it fuses into Brahman. And that's what the deep sleep state is about. But then Swami says, there is a very important difference between this and Samadhi. The difference is, in deep sleep state, the mind fuses with Brahman, but it is unconscious. It is not happening with your awareness. You're not aware of this. That has to become something you experience, something you are aware of. Then Vedanta would have achieved its goal for you, with you. He says this is the reason why every morning after a nice night of sleep, of deep sleep, you wake up well rested because you were with Brahman. Somebody has written something. Why don't you speak, Mom?
Because somebody has spoken before me, that's why.
Ah, okay, I didn't see.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Martha. Martha has written here. Sairam, I am following discourses translated in Spanish, and I think maybe that discourse is not translated yet, but several times I feel I can remind not having a body. So that is why I have the conviction that we don't have to become what we already are. Yes, we have to practice being Brahma at home to maintain it with us, when we are outside interacting with the many. Yes. And then Mother wrote, Swami has given some hints about the golden age and the importance of Vedanta. If you like, I have a small report from one of his recent discourses. Please do share.
So he said recently in one of these discourses, sorry, just a second. Just a minute, because I lost it. He said, why is Vedanta so important for us today? He gave an explanation why is stressing on Vedanta so much. He says the depth of ignorance requires a deep comprehension of our true identity today. He said the ignorance is so deep that only Vedanta is the instrument, would be the instrument to save us, you know, in that darkness, inner darkness and outer darkness. Then he says, he has explained in the last classes of Vedanta that within 20-25 years from now, Vedanta will be studied and spoken, and Sanskrit spoken and studied all over the world. It won't be only a cultural fact. It will be global, everywhere. So when something becomes like that, it's because the need is there. And it's a true remedy, universal remedy for mankind.
La comida está ahí ya.
We cannot understand because of the dog is barking. Which discourse is it? Can you please tell, Sylvia?
The dog is barking. Sweet. Then I'll go on.
Which discourse is it, please?
I think it's fine now, no?
Master the Mind series, Christina. Mother is
Yes,
reading
which
from Master
number?
the Mind
Which
series.
number?
I don't know the number.
It's a report, you know, many notes from different discourses. Did you hear the title of the session tonight? Maybe you were not there. Christina? No sound?
No, I have not because I didn't find. I only.
Okay.
No.
Can you tell us, Victory? Then I'll go on with the notes. The title of the session. You want me to go on?
Yes, please tell me.
Okay. The title is "You Don't Have to Become. You Already Are." This is the basis because the main obstacle for us being the mind, and very often the fact that how can I be God? I will never make it. No, you already are. This is good news, like they say. So I was reading a little report which I made about the importance of Vedanta in the entering golden age. Swami said the ignorance, actual ignorance, is so deep in man, and the situation is so serious because everybody is outward turned, and we don't go deep inside ourselves. The situation is so serious that Vedanta is the only instrument to take care of the problem. And he said it won't be a cultural fact. It will be a universal fact. And he said, from now to 20-25 years from now, Sanskrit will be studied all over the world. It will be even spoken very easily. And Vedanta will be the religion of love, adopted by all the religions and even atheists. Then he said something. He said the great exponents of Vedanta, like Adi Shankaracharya, like Ramakrishna, like Vivekananda, all over those centuries, are speaking directly, like he does, like Swami does, are speaking directly from the highest consciousness. So it's very important to be clear about the fact that our questions shouldn't come from a distracted mind. The mind is not the proper instrument for the inquiry about who am I and about the confirmation that I am Brahman. We need to question ourselves and the masters from the highest level of our consciousness. And the moment we do that, we'll meet the truth very easily. This is what Swami explained. So there is an example of Ramakrishna who had a special book about Vedanta, and everybody realized that he was hiding it. And he gave it, the content of the teachings was given by Ramakrishna only to Vivekananda. Those days, Narendra, no? At the beginning of his research. And he didn't disclose to anyone else. And there is a reason. Because he said, if people don't go to the higher mind to support the discourse and the proper inquiry, only confusion will be created. And this is worse than not hearing the teaching at all. So we are in the same condition. We should be very clear inside ourselves that clarity should be there. And Swami says that this clarity comes from bhakti. If we love God, if we are in love with God, Vedanta is easy to discover. Yes. And what else? Something else?
Yeah, there was an interruption.
Yes. Was it clear enough, the concept given by Swami?
I heard, yes. I don't know about the others.
Then this is a guideline to show that, to explain that Vedanta will be the proper philosophy and the basis of all reasoning in the Golden Age. It's not only for the confinement. It's not only because we have time to waste. It's giving us some little bones to suck. It's preparing us for a very, very beautiful era which is entering. He explained it. Everything will be different, he said, with the advent of the Golden Age. He said that our enemies will remain only our internal enemies. There won't be any, he said, in the whole world, there won't be any enemies of Vedanta. Used to have, you know, in the centuries, they had, even with Buddhism, they had many psychological wars, philosophical wars, debates, completely endless debates without enlightening anyone. Swami said these were their outer enemies. In the entering Golden Age, this won't happen. The only enemies of Vedanta will be inside man, our 6 enemies. Puoi dare la lista? If you give the list.
Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya.
He said, because Vedanta is unchangeable, it carries the eternal truth, and there is no time to waste any longer. Swami added that the secular knowledge won't have any more the value we give it today. academia won't be that important. Only true knowledge will be important, and it will sustain secular knowledge. That will be, this is the frame for the golden age. They won't be, can you hear?
Yeah.
There won't be competition anymore in the schools. Everybody will have the basis of Vedanta. So all the secular knowledge will be properly applied, which is not the case in the Kali Yuga. This is what he said. Then he said, we give too much value to the competition, the exams and the marks. It will be completely different, because true inner knowledge will be many people who know who they are will be walking on earth. So all the old systems will collapse, not only in education, but in all categories. And the spiritual language will be Vedanta, universal, and the main instrument to change the whole world. Because when man changes his vision, the whole world changes. That was the report. So we have to be ready to understand and to question only on the basis of higher consciousness. We have to make that effort.
Vivek has written in the chat over here, the era to come seems unprecedented. Perhaps never in the history of any avatar has this been spread on a mass scale. Blessed times. Yes, Swami said so. He said that what you are going to experience is something that mankind has never seen. Something that mankind has never seen. Never seen. These are really blessed times. I mean, the words don't cut it, and the words don't give it justice, I think. And if we really want to be part of this change, I think it's important to understand what Swami clarified it is he means when he says, be a part of my mission. Swami said, for so long people have been asking me, Swami, please, I want to work for you. I want to be in your mission. I want to do seva. I want to work for you. I want to do seva. I want to be part of the mission. I'm repeating the same thing. Swami said, the only way you can be part of my mission, really, you want to be part of what my mission is all about, and realize who you really are. Become Swami. That is the only way. That is the only way. Now, uniting what Mother read to us till now and what has just been said, some mind might probably start putting fear in us and saying, oh my God, are we up to this? Oh my God. And starts judging itself. And there Swami comes to the rescue when he says, as long as there is sincere effort, as long as your effort is sincere, and by sincere, when Swami talks about Shraddha, he doesn't mean once. The thing about the spiritual path is, it's not a question of putting an effort at one point in time, but it's a question of putting an effort that goes beyond time. Putting an effort that shouldn't vacillate, shouldn't shudder in front of the changes that happen or in front of space and time factor. So that sincerity, such sincerity can only be born of the heart, not of the mind. And Swami says, if at all you find that you don't have Shraddha or you think you don't have Shraddha, pray to God to give you that Shraddha. That's why the foundation stone is always bhakti. And Swami said, especially in the Kali Yuga, unlike other yugas, where different paths could be used independently to realize the truth. In the Kali Yuga, one cannot realize themselves without bhakti. Impossible, Swami says. Why? I would like to share the answer, the intuition that came to me when I asked this question. I said, why particularly? And the funny thing is, it wasn't a question I posed and then it came to me 3 days later. No, it was, before I could say the why, before I could think it, the answer was right there. That's the funny thing. But I'd like to share it. All of us know the concept of the collective mind, of how the mind of every individual constructs the collective mind. And so every yuga has its own collective mind, right? Satya Yuga will have a very sattvic mind if at all it has a mind. Yes, it has to be there, otherwise the world cannot exist. Satya Yuga has a very sattvic mind. Other yugas will have maybe less sattva, more rajas, more tamas. Kali Yuga, absolute rajas and tamas. To such an extent that man alone cannot tame that mind on his own. He needs God's grace. He really needs to step aside and admit to himself that he will never be able to do it on his own. Without that connection with the source through devotion, it will never happen. It can't happen. Swami said it won't happen if there is no bhakti in the Kali Yuga. So on the one hand, he says, in the past he has said, you have it so easy. In other yugas, people had to do so much tapas and penance for so many years to get even one glimpse of God. I am asking you to do only namasmarana. That's all I'm asking you to do. Cultivate the habit of namasmarana. That's all I'm asking you to do. You have it so easy. On the one hand, yes. On the other, what kind of devotees are we? Are we arthas, artharthis, jignasus or jnanis? Do we love Swami because he has removed our problems? Do we love Swami because he can give us things we want in the world? Do we love Swami because he can answer all our philosophical questions? Or do we love Swami because he is love? For the sake of love, we love him. That's what Swami meant when after he left the physical frame. And I don't remember the exact details of this passage, but the gist of it is, he said that something would happen and then it didn't happen. And Madhu asked Swami, and Swami said, if I tell you something happens and then it happens, and you believe, where's the fun in that? In it. If I tell you something and it doesn't happen and still you have faith, that is real. That is unshakable faith. And talking about faith, Swami shared in one of these discourses, Swami shared about a message he received from a mother saying, Swami, since when you have started these discourses on jnana, you're not talking about bhakti anymore. My son doesn't believe anymore in you. Swami says, you know what I answered? If that's the case, that means he never believed. He never believed in the first place. Because true faith cannot be shaken by... Sorry?
You can't lose it.
You can't lose true faith. You can lose false faith. You cannot lose true faith. He said, if the faith is not true, it's enough you hear something said about Swami, something said, some sentences, some negative things said about Swami, that's it, you lose your faith. That is not faith. How can you call that faith? Faith is what sustains you every time you just take a jump into the void. That is faith.
But
so yeah,
did I interrupt you?
No.
The Swami doesn't need us to have faith in him. He's complete. He will measure our faith in ourselves in the end. That's why he's pushing for bhakti when it's time for bhakti. That's why he's pushing to be ready for the I am Brahma, Aham Brahman. Because not for him, he doesn't need it. No master needs it. He wants to give us the totality of what he can give us. That's why we have to be very strong, because they say it's like taking a voltage, very high voltage in the body, when it happens. That tremendous happiness when we We know ourselves. You remember? We have the movie, the video with Sadhguru when he was ascending, and the ascension is extremely to meet ourselves. It is to meet the divine in its totality. Our mind has to be very strong. Our body has to be very healthy. We have to have a lot of patience. If it's not for this life, it will be for another one. But be ready now. Even Swami used to say in Puttaparthi, no? Fasting in the wait, and then be ready. Be ready. So we have to be ready. We don't have to question for when should I be ready. You just be ready. The rest is his business.
Talking about devotion, I mean, talking about Swami not needing that devotion. He's pushing so hard on that because he knows that we need the devotion.
Yeah.
We need it, not him. And there's one more thing one more thing that comes to mind from these discourses. We are sharing all snippets from these discourses because a couple of you said that you're not following them. So that's why. So, apologies to those who have listened and maybe find it repetitive. At one point, Swami says, because he was talking about believers and non-believers, he was talking about atheists and believers, and he says, if you believe in Brahman, Brahman will be happy. Brahman wants you to know it. If you believe in it, it will give you opportunities daily. Daily, it will give you opportunities to realize it. Daily. So Swami says, enough of living in a world or being responsible for a world that lives of habit, lives out of force of habit, not out of clear reasoning, clear understanding. And he says, force of habit comes from where? From the mind. Clear reasoning comes from where? From the buddhi, from the intellect, which is that which we need to put into use if we want the mind to realize that it's not the master but the slave. For thousands and thousands of lives, we have let the mind believe that it is the master. But as Swami says, the mind is a terrible master, but it's an excellent slave. So, Swami said in the discourse I was listening to today, he said enough. He was citing Rabindranath Tagore's poem, one of his poems, where his vision of the world was such, where a world wouldn't be full of people living out of force of habit. And Swami says, force of habit in what sense? What does he mean by that? He wasn't a Vedantin, but his thoughts in this poem are absolutely Vedantic. He says, enough of living thinking that you're the body. Enough. That is force of habit. It's only a habit of thought. That is why he is trying to replace that thought with Aham Brahmasmi Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi Sarvam Brahman. Vasudeva Kutumbakam and all these things. So he says, unless and until it becomes the norm for your mind, force the thought onto it. Force it. Keep forcing it. And try to make it as conscious as possible. Keep forcing it. Repeat it like a madman, it doesn't matter. That's all that matters at the end. As the awareness is everything in every human, that means that when we are not, I was reading Martha's message here. She has written, as the awareness is everything in every human, that means that when we are not incarnated, we are the awareness. If we have to decide in that point, that we have to return again because we did not learn the lessons. There's not only possibility to cheat as we are the new awareness, as we are the awareness. Maybe that is why we have to really be sincere to move along. Exactly. And in these discourses, Swami is talking a lot about Yama. A lot about Yama. He says, all of you know Yama very well. You have met him thousands of times. You have met death thousands of times. You know him very well. And then Swami quotes the text which contains the exchange between Nachiketa and Yama. The story goes that Nachiketa contested his father's approach to a yajna because his father's intention wasn't pure. While in the yajna he was giving away cows to the poor, but he was giving away all the sickly and the old cows who would not be able to give anything to the poor. So Nachiketa contests this, and his father, basically shuns him away and tells him go to Yama or something like that. I mean, Swami doesn't explain how that happens. What happens is he finds himself in front of Yama, and Yama, the god of death, apologizes because Nachiketa had to wait for 3 whole days before he showed up. He was very busy. Swami said probably COVID-19 there also. And so Yama was very busy. And then he comes and he apologizes to Nachiketa because he was his guest, and then asks him what he wants. And Nachiketa says, I want the knowledge, Parabrahman, no? I want the knowledge, the absolute, knowledge of the absolute. And Yama starts giving him options. Yama starts saying, I can give you anything. I can give you all the riches. I can give you 250 lives or years on earth, whatever you want. Live how much ever you want. Take anything you want, but this I can't give you. And he kept cajoling him and trying to convince him otherwise. Unless Nachiketa's determination really amazed Yama, and that's when he literally bowed down to him and said, I have never come across someone with such audacity and determination, such fearlessness. And then he starts teaching him. First, he taught him a yajna which would avail of his father to reach the heavens because that was his father's desire. And so Nachiketa satisfied his father's desire. And then he asked for the absolute knowledge. So why we started talking about Yama? Because Swami said, when you find yourself in front of Yama, there is no certificate of knowledge that you gained on this earth which will save you. He says, go to university 7, 8, 10 times. All the diplomas and all the degrees you can have, and you give it to Yama, you know what he'll do? He'll feed it to his buffalo. He won't even look at it. The only thing that will save you from Yama's clutches is the knowledge of Brahman. And the only question Yama will ask you is, do you know Brahman? If your answer is no, or if your answer is what? What is Brahman? What are you talking about? He'll say, okay, come, I'll show you. And then he'll take you to the next womb. In one of the discourses, Swami was speaking very, he went on for about half the discourse, if not all of it, talking about the waste of having to go back to another womb. And he was speaking very harshly in that sense, no, Mother?
Yeah, it was like, it was like threatening people to go, take another womb. If you want, you go. If you don't want to follow what I'm saying, go in another womb. You will have the choice. Go. He really wants us to take it. He wants us to take it.
And at that point in time, no, go on.
He used to say, speaking about Yama, no? Yama, when Yama comes, Maya is gone. Not that you realize yourself, but you realize the missed opportunities in this life you're living. You have to make another life. Oh my God, I missed it. Swami said, oh my God, I missed it. So Yama is Maya on the other side. The contrary, opposite.
Yeah. Christina is requesting if you can speak a little slower because sometimes all the words are not heard. Yama, Maya. There was something that came to mind now, but it slipped away when I read Christina's message. It'll come back if it has to. Yeah. Yama has no power on. Yes, he said, it came back now. He said in one of the discourses, he said, if you find yourself in front of Yama with the knowledge of Brahman, if you find yourself at that point in time that you leave the physical frame, he didn't say find yourself in front of Brahma. He said in front of Yama. He said, At the moment of your death, if you have realized Brahman before or at that point, it won't be Yama who will come and pick you up. It will be God who will come. It won't be the Yamadutas. It won't be the servants of Yama, but the Devatas, Devadutas will come. They will come to pick you up. And he says, talking about the Devadutas, the Devas, he said, these Devas also are convinced that they are gods, but they are not. Just as you are convinced to be human, you are not. Human in the sense you are this body, but you are not. They also are convinced that they are gods, but they are not. And to realize their true self, to realize themselves really, they are only satisfying a role. They are only satisfying a role. Surya plays a role. Brahma plays a role. Chandra plays a role. All the elements play a role. Indra plays a role. Agni plays a role. And for them to realize themselves, don't confuse, Swami says, all these gods with the absolute. Don't confuse all these gods with Parabrahma. And he says, if they want to realize themselves, they also have to take birth on earth. Imagine your fortune. Imagine your fortune. The gods themselves are stuck in their duty, stuck, so to speak, it's a word I'm using, in a fake reality. You have an opportunity to get out of it. Imagine your good fortune. I liked it when he said that you know Yama very well. You've met him thousands of times. On these lines, Swami had said many years ago, Yama is your best friend. You know why? He's your best friend because he's the only certainty you have in life. Yama is the only certainty you have in life. Everything else will be uncertain. Everything else is uncertain. Talking about uncertainty, what comes to mind is problems. And when I was thinking about problems, what came to mind was something else Swami said in one of these discourses. He said, playtime is over. The God of favors is not here anymore. For very long, all these years, see, someone would come to Swami with a problem. Yes, he would solve the problem. Compassionate, kind, forgiving God solves the problem. Only in the hope that once that problem would solve, maybe then the person would get interested in the real thing.
Exactly.
But then the person will come back with even more problems, more problems, more problems. Why? Because problems are the nature of this world. Problems are the nature of this world. As Swami has said many years ago to a devotee, he said, you have a problem? Is there a solution? Yes. Where's the problem? Is there a solution? No. Where's the problem? So
And
that's
all over the years he said, I have come to give you what you want, so one day you'll be ready to accept what I want to give you. And time has come. It will be in the silence, inner silence and outer silence. That we know also. The setting is on, the stage is ready.
yes. So the stage is ready, the setting is all, stage is set and everything is ready. We have to only not put on our makeup, but remove our makeup. As a friend of mine once told me, I had to speak with his wife, who was getting ready in the morning. And I said, may I speak to him 1 second? He says, well, just call back in 10 minutes. She is removing her makeup while she was in reality putting on her makeup. Very deep. Very deep what he meant by that. He was saying she is hiding herself behind that.
We are already God hiding himself. Because persona means mask. Hiding the face. God is hiding behind each personality of ours.
In Latin, persona in Italian means word, means person, sorry. Persona means person, and it derives from the Latin word which means mask.
God is hiding, hide and seek.
All the chitta vrittis, all the worries and angst and fear and insecurity and uncertainty, all forms of suffering derive from that wall that Swami wants us to silence once and for all. And if he is pushing us in that direction, it's because we have it in us, otherwise he wouldn't. Otherwise he wouldn't waste his time, no? Nobody wastes his time. Swami says, sometimes some boys think in this manner. They say, I mean, I know Swami is there for me. I'm going to go live my life, enjoy the world, enjoy the senses. Then when the moment comes, Swami will take care. And Swami says, you think I have nothing better to do? You think I have nothing better to do? He said in the discourse, he said.
Maybe try, tell me, Victory. That was last night in Italian, but the story of Ramakrishna and Mother, so beautiful, Maybe some people didn't get that information yet. It's wonderful.
There is this video, in fact, I've been meaning to share with you, Mother, but I haven't had time yet to send it over. It's a very old movie on Ramakrishna. It's in black and white. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Very old. So the quality of the image is lacking, but it's all with English subtitles. You should watch it. And yeah, so in the discourse, Swami describes, he was talking about Nirakara and Sakara. He was talking about the path of the devotion and the path of jnana, of knowledge. And he was uniting the two, the way we also said earlier, that to gain knowledge, devotion is absolutely necessary. Devotion is necessary. And then sometimes he cited also in the discourses Meera's songs. And he said Meera was no jnani, she was only a devotee. She was in love with God, but she wasn't a jnani. But in all her songs, full jnana only is there, Swami says. Okay. So to link the two, he told this story again for the nth time of Totapuri. Totapuri was a jnani, and his path was the path of knowledge. He worshipped the formless God. Ramakrishna worshipped the formful God, the form and the God of the form, Divine Mother. No? All he knew was his burning desire to always be with Mother, with the Divine Mother. That's all he knew. That is all he knew or even cared about. And Totapuri was chiding at him, making fun of him and saying, what is this running behind a statue? What you're running behind is everywhere, all over you, in you, around you. What is this going into the temple all the time? And he would, just comment like this and then go into his sadhana in one corner. Everybody thought he was mad. The funny thing is, everybody thought even Ramakrishna was mad. I mean, I'm just stopping there for 1 second because society, if it doesn't understand something, will call you mad. So it can be the path of devotion, it can be the path of knowledge, it doesn't matter. If it's not understood, you're mad. Anyway, so after Totapuri, tells him like this, and he's with the mother, and he would converse with the mother about everything and anything. And he asks, and the Divine Mother Kali says, go to him. He has come here to teach you something. You have something to learn from him. Go to him. And then Ramakrishna, without a second's thought, he goes. He goes and like a child in all his innocence, he sits down next to Totapuri and then he starts questioning. And then he says, Totapuri starts explaining, Vedanta basically. And then he initiates him into sannyasihood, and then he starts explaining how he should meditate. And Ramakrishna, every time he closes his eyes, he's seeing the Divine Mother right there. She's there. He's like, I can't. I'm seeing only Ma. I'm seeing only Ma.
Mm.
And after a while, Totapuri gets frustrated. He picks up a piece of glass that was lying there, and he pushes it right into his forehead between the two eyebrows. In that split second, with in the hope that he could get Ramakrishna's attention to that point where the pain was. That's it. In that split second, he goes into samadhi. Totapuri sees this. A bit unsure, goes out, sits in the garden, waits for a while. 2 hours pass, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Totapuri starts getting worried. Because you see, for about 40 years, he had been practicing meditation, and he could fall into samadhi only for a few hours. And Ramakrishna had already gone beyond what he had achieved in 40 years. So he starts getting worried. He says, something is happening here. Something is wrong over here. The hours pass. People in the temple who were used to Ramakrishna's movements, to seeing him in the temple, his mother, whom he used to visit every evening, doesn't see him, and they start getting worried. They go to Totapuri's quarters and they try to knock, but he doesn't open up. 3 days pass, and Ramakrishna is still in samadhi. Finally, at the end, they succeed in somehow getting in, and Totapuri explains what happens. And they all go there and they try to, wake him up. He comes out, he falls out of samadhi, and Totapuri looks at him and says, "Who are you? Who are you? For 40 years I've been struggling, and you, in the first short 3 days, you were in samadhi." And Ramakrishna's reply was, "I don't know all Ma's grace." So Swami said, at the end, you always fall back on bhakti. At the end, it's always bhakti, Swami says. And then Totapuri, it seems he was so dejected. He was so dejected that he had decided to end his life. And so he went to Ganga to jump in. And he tried jumping in, and I believe the waters parted and dried up, and he didn't die. And there, that was his vision of Ma that saved him. And then he understood Ramakrishna's point of view. He made Ramakrishna understand his point of view, and God made him understand Ramakrishna's point. No, can't hear you.
The part of the story when Puri told Ramakrishna, "I have something to teach you," and then, when he asked for the permission, I will ask my mother first, Divine Mother. No? And there is a passage where, because he was so much on bhakti, like you explained, there is a passage where this Puri tells Ramakrishna, "You're always behind the mother, like a child holding the sari of his mommy. Now you stop it." And he was directing him towards the inner vision without duality of me, I, and my mother. This is bhakti. Bhakti, always two entities are there. And to go to Aham Brahma, one entity has to be there, only one. This is the difference. So he said, you have to stop it with that mother. You have to go beyond. And he said, what should I do? Every time I close my eyes, I see mother. I see her. He said, you have to cut her in 2 pieces. So from the duality installed by bhakti, you have to make 2 pieces out of it. the concept would be that again you are in duality, you make two pieces, but you destroy that illusion. Because in the end, Swami says, he referred also to Swami's the attachment we have for his form, even for Sadhguru's form nowadays. He says, what will happen then when the form will go? Again, we will be in despair. Again, you will cry for a long funeral. He said, no, of that. You have to go beyond that, because Brahma you have. So he said, in the case of Ramakrishna, you have absolutely to cut her into two pieces. How shall I do that? And Puri said, with a sword, cut her into pieces. He did. And this, at that moment, that thing happened, that samadhi, long samadhi, because he reached Brahma at that moment, because duality was gone, definitely. But Swami explains, it's not that the duality has to disappear. It's a good duality, that, but you have to go beyond it. And the form, the namarupa you're in love with, is not, has to be englobed, has to disappear and be merged in Brahma. You don't lose it, but you're not anymore under the spell.
On these lines, Swami said, he said when Sai Baba left his physical form, what happened? So many people cried. Where are they today? What happened today to them? And he says, of course, they cried, they suffered, they were sad because their devotion is there. I'm not saying they are not devoted to Swami. They are devoted to Swami, but beyond that, there is no inquiry. There is no inquiry beyond that. And then Swami gave an example. He said, there was this student. I mean, he said it's just an example to explain a point. He's not saying it actually happened. He says there's this student. He's saying, oh my God, I can't live without Swami. I'm going to die. Oh my God, I'm also going to die. I can't live without Swami. Maybe he put also the other students besides him in embarrassment because they were afraid that he would fall right there in their lap and die. And then 2 weeks later, those same friends who were hearing him wail like this saw him happily sitting in a restaurant and eating. What happened? What happened to your I can't live without Swami? You're happily eating your samosas here. What happened? Swami says, what happened is the person took solace in the idea that Vasudeva Kutukumbakam or Aham Brahmasmi and Sarvam Brahma. That Brahman is everywhere, God is here also with me, so I'm fine. So he took solace in that thought. He said, and then he said, now most of you who are here are going to outlive this body. Most of you. What are you going to do? Here also we'll repeat the same drama. Here also we'll end up crying and being desperate that Swami left us. Or will we go about our daily duties like nothing happened, the way Radha was when Krishna was leaving and Krishna asks her, are you sad? And Radha says, what Krishna are you referring to? The Krishna in my heart, which is the true Krishna, or this fake Krishna in front of me, which is just a body? So are we going to be like that by the time Swami leaves this body also? Or are we going to wail and cry and moan and then go back to how things were as before? He was very severe and serious when he was talking on these terms in this discourse. He was very serious. He said, God of favors is over. There's no more time and place for God of favors. Very soon I'm going to stop talking. Completely, I have to stop talking. You all will talk for me, he says. And how much you are sincere in your sadhana, up to that point you can be of use to me, to the world, to yourselves, more than to me. So this Master of the Mind workshop is going to be, the way I see it, I think it's going to be a beautiful basis of a model that can be really duplicated and put into practice first and foremost, and then duplicated. Because we are doing the same over here in Italy. And it's interesting because from east to west, a lot of things have to be adapted. And it's very interesting. It's interesting, but one thing you see that doesn't change. The one thing you see that is not subject to culture or language is the love for their beloved. That remains the same, no matter whom you speak with, no matter where you go. Vivek, I mean, you recall. I mean, I don't know if you recall what I had said once when I was in the car with you about how no matter where you go, speak to a group of people, it's the same. It's the same love. Why does it have to be the case only during satsang? Why? Why can't it be always like this? As Swami said, the scriptures say that the wise sees Brahman in the man, in the woman, in the child, in the animal, in the stone, in the tree, in the clouds, in the sky. If that vision is there, then the entire life is a satsang. If that vision is there, every thought becomes satsang. And Swami says these are beautiful words to marvel at. But if they don't become your reality, what's the point? What's the point? Right now, they can work as medication because temporarily they make you feel better. But through meditation, make it permanent.
And another master said, Vedanta is not a painkiller. You can't use it that way because even the experience of people who are enlightened during their life, old age will come. Suppose it's a young person or middle-aged person, the old age will come. The body will suffer. The body will decline. The body will have problems, and the enlightened soul in it won't suffer it, but the body has to go through it. So that's last part of illusion in that case, that people who witness that adventure of that enlightened soul encased in a body, which is declining, is another part of illusion. People will say, oh my God, like Ramakrishna had the cancer in the throat. Many of these sages and saints had to suffer a lot. Apparently again, because when you were asking them, Swami, are you suffering? The body is suffering. So this will remain. This, what they call prarabdha karma, the body will take it and this will remain, but the soul will be already free. When illusion goes, pain goes. But Vedanta is not a painkiller. That way he was concluding.
Yeah, on those lines he was saying also in the discourse today, he said what you may perceive to be suffering today is what will nourish you for eternity.
Mm.
It's not food that you digest and then you need more. You will never be hungry ever again after you have digested Vedanta. How? Through experience. Not through words, not through discourses, through experience. And then he said, he said, one taste is enough. One taste is enough and everything else will become insipid. And he shared what one of the students in one of these days wrote to Swami, saying that he was walking to Premdeep, to satsang, and suddenly he was engulfed by utmost peace and serenity for a short second or so, and then it disappeared. And Swami said, this is what it means to get a taste of it. You get a taste of it, you will do everything to get it back. You will do everything to get it back. And that can happen only because of experience, not because I have filled your head with beautiful words. Because of the experience you have had. Couple of things that come to mind, because when we talk on these terms, especially of somebody else's experience, two things come quite easily to some people. Comparison And the second one I forget. I guess it's not important. But comparison. Swami said, So, second one is expectations. Expectations from your sadhana. He said to have expectation from a sadhana means that you have failed from the start. You can never expect something from your practice. That itself is an act of faith, no? If you think about it, that itself is an act of faith. Do it because the Guru will do it. As Shankaracharya said, the Guru's words should be your guiding light. The Guru's words should become your daily life. Comparisons, making comparisons between me and somebody else and saying, they are better, or I'm like this, or I'm like that. And he said this is highly anti-Vedantic, he said. Like the other day, one person came to me and said, Swami, I like your satsangs. I mean, the way you expound your knowledge and beautiful, unlike that other fellow I don't like. And Swami said, I am saddened to have such a devotee. Vedanta is telling you all are one and you are making such comparisons. Swami says. But these comparisons are mostly strong within the person when the person compares himself or herself with somebody else. That from the start is what hinders any chance of love to enter the heart. Comparison and expectations. Sorry, I went on a rant there.
So when Swami says be ready, and when he says wait, be ready or wait? Some people, got very disorientated for that. They say, I'm ready. Okay, I'm getting ready, but I have to wait. Wait to be ready. They used to say.
Or be ready to wait.
Be ready to wait. It's part of it, of course. How many lives? He's been waiting for us.
Like a person had written to Swami a few years ago. Why is it Swami that I find it so difficult to find you in my heart? And the answer was wait. Time is not ripe yet. Continue your sadhana. Wait. It will come. It will come when it has to come.
This has something to do with the concept of I am not the doer. He is doing it. Even our inner transformation is not ours.
Yeah, on these lines, beautiful. Thank you for bringing that up. It's beautiful what Swami says. He was citing the scriptures when he said, the scriptures say that those who think they know, don't know. And those who think they don't know, know. So on that note, Swami said, if tomorrow someone were to come to me and tell, okay, Swami, I have given up my mind to you, I have surrendered, I have realized I'm done. Swami says, I can only laugh at them because that's another trap of doership. When he says, I have surrendered my mind or I have realized, that's doership, isn't it? That's doership.
Because we take it wrong when he says transformation has to occur. Okay, in the same, it has to occur. Okay, but he didn't say you have to transform yourself. You already are. This is Vedanta. We started with that. So if I'm already, something has to be removed. Not that you have to be changed, but something has to be removed. Give me time to do it. I remember once, if we really surrender, we should be, Swami said. It was during a summer course in Whitefield in the year end of 70s. Swami said to the audience, he said, why don't you do like the baby, a calf, just born. The mother will clean him for a long time, for hours together. She will go on cleaning him all over his little body. she will lick him and clean him and lick him and clean him. And the baby, sometimes it's so strong, her will is so strong to make him beautiful and clean, he will roll down. Again, he will go on his legs, and it will go on again and go on again. But he will never escape from his mommy. That's all I want. I want to clean you. Let me do it. Why don't you let me do it? Why do you hide yourself from me? I know where I have to clean. I know how to clean. Transformation will come with surrender and love for God. It's not something we can
this
do.
reminds
because
me, I mean,
we are not the doer. He is the
sorry.
doer. Mm.
Yes. I mean, this reminds me of what I come across very frequently, especially in during seminars and courses on Vedanta, and also on Sankhya, yogic philosophy. Something that I come across very, very, very frequently is the idea that I am a rotten person and I need to work on that. I'm exaggerating. I'm a rotten person. I'm exaggerating that. But the idea that there is so much to be corrected and so much to be dealt with, and I have to do something about it.
Before I present myself to
hearing
the Guru.
I would keep thinking about it, and then at one point, after the umpteenth time that I heard someone say that, I said, "What do you want to work upon? Who are you to work upon this? Don't illude yourself into thinking you can do something about it. It's not like finding that your room is dirty and then you pick up the broom and start cleaning. No, you don't know how to use that broom. Just observe it. Observe these things within you without identifying yourself with them. And that observation itself is the divine intelligence that will deal with everything. But we should have faith in that. We should have faith that it's enough to observe. And observation means what? Observation implies that you are not the thing you're observing. Even if you're looking at yourself in the mirror, the image is not you, the reflection is not you. So this is what Swami means when he says, observe your thoughts. Observe your thoughts. You are not them. They come from somewhere, they go somewhere. Doesn't matter. Passing clouds. Yeah, beautiful words. Swami says for too long, Sai Baba spoke in such beautiful words. Swami spoke, love all, serve all, I am God, you are also God, ABC of life, all these beautiful, beautiful little snippets of knowledge. Everybody was like, wow, you know. But they never really did anything about it. They never really gave weight to Swami's words. Now that Swami has started talking, you know, from the Shastras and started saying things, they're saying, oh yeah, this Sai Baba really knows. He really knows what he's talking about. Only now they are starting to take it seriously, Swami said.
He always has spoken this way. Nobody was listening. He said, nobody was listening. You were all in your thoughts and in your desires. I can tell you. But he says also, you make one step towards me, I will make 10 towards you. So the very beginning is yours. You have to make the first step.
Again, this one step is what? As was said in the beginning, the one step has to be constant. It has to be constant. Surrender has to be constant. It can't be just once in time.
Like
it has to be constant.
You can't lose
the way
it.
Swami picked up, the way Swami picked up on the attributes of a true devotee expounded by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, and he says, one of that has to be your constant. It has to be a constant. Otherwise, forget calling yourself a devotee. And here also he was very harsh. He says, who told you you were a devotee? Did you hear me call you a devotee anytime? Only I can do that. Nobody else can. At the most, all the people living in the ashram are volunteers. They are students. They are staff. They are cooks. They are guards. Very few devotees. Very few devotees. Krishan, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. Good to see you. Just on when you're talking about how, you know, we think we're rotten, and who are we to, you know, who are we to try and fix ourselves? And you know, so on that, just on that, what came to mind was every moment is perfect, meaning that not at the eye level, but at the being level, that it's all perfect. And if we truly live in that oneness, then you know you don't think about, you know, my worry or the self almost. Yeah, because then that's the faith, right? If we have the true faith, then the present moment is the absolute, you know. So yeah, that is sort of just spring to mind as you were talking.
In fact, talking about the present moment, if you think about it, and stop for a moment and revel in the present moment, you will realize that that is something that can never be taken away from you. Never. It can never be taken away from you. The present moment can never be taken away from you. Nobody can do that.
Mm.
Nobody
This
can.
is really one of the greatest keys of Vedanta, the present.
The only thing that keeps us away from Vedanta is what? That's what Swami is trying to disintegrate, our mind. That's what Swami wants us to disintegrate. So at the most, the only person who can lose the present moment is us, because we run behind the mind's thoughts. Nobody else can remove the present moment except us.
And just on that, yeah, the mind doesn't accept perfect, right? It won't, you know, it would always look for something, and it would take you away, divert you, because the acceptation's always there. You know, it's always thinking, this can't be it. It's you know, it must be something else.
That's why the observation of thoughts has such great potential. That's why the observation of thoughts has such great potential, because in time, if it's practiced, you realize, you will become stable and you will become stronger from in that point of view of the observer. And in that place from which you are observing, there are no thoughts. In that place from which you are observing, there is absolute silence. Because that's all happens in that place. Only observation. Observation happens in utmost silence.
And Swami said, you remember, you surely remember, he said recently at the beginning of the discourses he said, between samadhi, which perfect balance, is to be found between two thoughts. So if we slowly we observe, and we don't give importance to the thoughts, we let them cross the space, just come and go, doesn't matter. We remain witness of it without giving a color to it, a weight, a category, without seeing if it's past, present, or future. All this has to disappear. The space is there, remains. In that space, the thought will travel and go. It's a nature, it's its nature. So Swami says, between two, when you reach the stage of samadhi, of perfect balance, between those two thoughts, the interval, or how do you say, the gap will be longer and longer.
The interval.
Yes, the gap will be longer and longer, and you'll find the longest samadhi. After samadhi, something else. But that was the beginning of the exercise, no?
Mahartha has written something here for us. If every moment is perfect and we are thinking that it's not, knowing that we can only change what is in our hands, our inner feelings, thoughts, isn't it? Exactly. It's all about, what is the word I'm looking for? Sublimation. It's all about sublimation. You know the concept of sublimation?
Yeah.
Sublimation, Swami gives the example of sublimation, mental in thought, sublimation. Swami gives the example. He says, take for example a couple that are arguing, a mother and father are arguing. Okay, so what is apparent and not apparent, but clearly apparent is anger, because they are frustrated and they are arguing with each other. The child walks in to ask the mother something. What happens? The mother sees the child, and for the love of the child, her tone changes completely. Then child exits, and the tone comes back because she is again facing the husband. This is sublimation. This is replacing one thing for the other. Sublimation. Sublimation is replacing something, but it's not. When you say replacing, there seems to be a very clear distinction between the two things. But in sublimation, it happens fluidly. This is what sublimation is, and that's what emotions are. They flow. They are not blocks of bricks that are thrown onto us by our mind. It's a river of thoughts. So when one thought is sublimated for another, that's what Swami is doing, Martha, with what he wants us to chant. He wants us to move out of that habitual thought. He wants us to change our thinking. He wants us to change our thought. And he has been, telling this all our lives. And he's still doing it. He's still doing it. He's here only for that. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here, would he? Don't you think I have anything else to do? Swami would say. Vishen, are you guys still on lockdown?
Yeah, we're on lockdown still, so still working from home. It's actually, as of today, they expanded a few things. A few more businesses are open. People can leave the house and meet up in small groups.
I have been where you are. You know why I say this?
Why?
Your hair.
So I'm guessing you're still there as well, lockdown.
No, actually, it's better now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still have to. There also Swami says, people trust a barber. People put themselves under the blade of the barber, but they don't trust God. This is the world we live in, he says.
Yeah.
You trust a barber, a complete stranger, but you don't trust God, who is the closest friend.
Yeah.
And I think with that we can call it a night, Mother, because it's getting late. 1.5 hours we have been here. Again, thank you for this opportunity. I don't know about Mother, how she is next week, if she'll be free on Monday or not. I'm away for work, so I won't be able to. But if she is willing and she's free, I will be posting the link online, so you can always have some with her. Okay?
Thank you so much. Very grateful.
Sairam.
Sairam, everybody. Sairam.
You all. Sairam.
Thank you.
Sairam, take it. Thank you.
Saidam.
Thank you.
Many thanks.